Well, 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 well. Looky who we have here. It's all of you. Hello. Hi. Howdy. How you doing? I am not just whatever a disassociative voice. I also have a face. There we go. All right. We have a Big Slam, a Craigar, and an Xbox Aaron joining us. Howdy to all of you and more if you're out there lurking or just stopping in. I hope you're doing well. Xbox Aaron, I meant to ask, have your packages arrived? Did everything show up in good order? And if so, how are they looking? Are you happy? Are you excited? All right, it looks like the other connections are stable. We're running at full. Remember, all this week I have been practicing with a simulcast where I am not just streaming to Twitch, I'm also streaming to YouTube, to X, and to Rumble. I'm giving it a try. I'm stress testing the rig, stress testing the internet connection, and where everything lies when we do things like video games and we do our workshops. So far, it seems to be going well. There's certainly some extra setup time to do the multi-streams because I have to prepare them. It's not just a click and go live with all of them. And then, of course, I spam my notifications across Discord into socials. You all know how it is. But let's crack into this mug root beer. It is a named one because actually the named sodas were less expensive at Kroger when I picked them up. A little bit of news to go over, and then we're going to start our workshop. We're going to just dive right into it, which does include, if any of you play Pokemon Go, let's trade. Let's trade our Pokemon, I wish I could remote trade with you all. Let's trade gifts before it's too late. That way I can send you cool stuff from my corner of the world. I can get something from yours. You get a sticker, you get some items that maybe you need. And we go from there. There we go, just the one to worry about. Hi, Lucius, how you doing? I do like the mimic. Tell me about mini terrain domain. What's that channel all about, Lucius? I imagine it does what it says on the label, though I'd like to hear from your experience. Let's open our Discord while we are chatting. And you can all see here. Now, of course, you all were starting to get in your collections. And I appreciate those of you who were sharing your bountiful hauls from our Adopt-a-thon. There is an upcoming event called Rigged Capsules, where I'm going to be busting out the machine. We have 50 capsules, we have 50 prizes, and all the 50s are all the capsules are worth over $50. The capsules are rigged because they're rigged in your favor, because the cost of the capsules is going to be more than what the prizes are. And as well, I am going to start recruiting for a longer form campaign. I'm going to need 2, maybe 3 of you out there who have an interest in playing at a digital tabletop with others in the community. And, you know, if you have the day and the time that we decide to you have it free and you want to play, well, we're kind of leaning towards Cyberpunk Red. Not that it can't actually take place in a fantasy world. In fact, that might be a fun challenge. But it's something I'm planning. I'm talking to some members of Chroma Company, the first big campaign. And I've talked to the Vampire crew, and that might be Tuesdays. That might be an on-again, off-again, like shorter form stories. Not just 3-parters, but things that would last a little bit longer than that. So that might end up being an on-again, off-again Tuesday thing that we do. And I'm leaning towards Friday nights from 9 p.m. until 1 a.m. would be our story. If that tentatively sounds like something you'd be interested in trying, not that any experience would be necessary, and I'll put a looking for group post up about it. You would need at least a halfway decent webcam and microphone, but you don't need experience with the system. You don't need knowledge of the mechanical terms or the fluff of the setting. That would be all things that we figure out along the way as we tell our tale and have fun. So we have that going on. There is going to be another, well, there's a couple channel events. If you look up at the RGB at the top, the R is followers until our next big storyline event. When we hit 5K followers, there's a big event I'm going to be running. It'll tell a story. It'll involve the mascots. And the mascots have been getting a bit of an overhaul. They've been getting some art, and I'll get into that in a moment. And the G in the RGB above is that event. This event is rigged. So we have that coming up. And then in June, there will be another coloring book event coming up. Pardon me. Now, we're only fresh off the heels of the spring equinox in that event. So June's still a little ways off, but it'll be here before we know it. As you may have seen over in Table Talk, I dressed her up. Again, the 3D render isn't terrible. It's effectively a Barbie doll. So if you can look at a Barbie doll and, you know, hopefully not get fired at work or feel ashamed around your friends or family, that's what this is. And as soon as I get feedback from the mods, I might put the normal render of the goblin over in our subscriber/server booster chat, so you all can take a look. And I'd love some feedback if you have it. But for general audiences, you know, keeping things PG-13, I went into Paint. I colored her up like you might normally see her, though of course my art is not as good as Dan's. And here we are. Oh, I forgot to put the little like the scuff or whatever, the frayed ends. But you all get the idea. There's a lot of things in the works. There is a character reference sheet being made for each of the mascots. And that is going to go over into other projects as well. All of these, I think, are going to be fun and creative, ways to, again, just not... I don't want to rely on other people for entertainment. I don't want to rely on big international companies or just other movers and shakers in the business. We can create our own things. We can create our own stories, our own comics. We can create our own adventures. And I want that to happen because if with all of the tumultuous nature that life brings, not even just recently, just about life, the less we outsource our entertainment, the less we outsource our identity, the less we outsource these pieces of ourselves to companies, to other people, to organizations, or to the whims of whatever the current trend is, there is less of you, and you will be more consistently disappointed, upset, confused, or whatever. And I don't want that here. I want this to be that place of genuine creativity, where you don't just see that I do the exercises, you know that you can do them yourself. That you can trust yourself with the dice. You can trust yourself to make fun connections between coincidences. That you can think outside of the box. And maybe you go on to develop the next big Kickstarter. Even if it feeds into D&D or Pathfinder or something else. You can do it. It's up to you. Hi, Sierra Echo. Oh, Sierra, when you get a chance, can you give me your opinion? It could even be here, but in mod chat, I posted something up about the Goblin 3D render, and I wanted to hear back from all three of you to get your consensus on if you think that the 3D render, like Barbie doll, of the Goblin is appropriate to put in our verbal components here, which if you all don't see this, this is locked behind a subscriber or a server booster on Discord, or a server booster role. And it's not out of any sort of, I don't know, weird manipulation. It's simply because those who do subscribe tend to be in that older teen or just outside of the bare minimum PG-13 needed for Twitch. Those are not adult-only areas. It is not NSFW, though the conversations or memes that can be posted there are a little bit more open. And that's a benefit. It's an additional thank you for those of you who do support the channel in that way. But as you can see, I went into paint and I painted over the Barbie doll, as this is a sample pose of the Goblin. And I'd love to get some feedback. Unfortunately, my schedule is all booked up despite me loving the chance to play with you again. Big Slam, if I have the ability, if you all want to step back up, and I mean Sierra's here as well, if you all want to get back into running another 3-shot of Everyday Heroes, I want to keep the Tuesdays open to do that. It could be a vampire 3-parter, or probably we're going to be moving into short stories. I'm happy to revisit Call of Cthulhu, Everyday Heroes, Alien RPG. I'm happy to do that, and we'll do introductory games, 1 or probably 3 shots. And then at some point on some day in time, and more about that this month in April, I want to run a longer story with you all, for those of you who can make it. A lot of things like campaigns, one-shots, minis, and things like that. Not sure how I describe them. What is that referencing, Lucius? I might have absolutely been traveling through different subjects when you replied, and my brain is on another topic. And so I'm having a hard time squaring up what you said to what you said when to what I said when. Oh, this, I'm sorry, the streamer's emote. That's right. Ooh, wow, I did really get 2 steps ahead there. Okay, so Lucius, the members of this channel do similar things, run workshops, teach the game, creative thinking, or what, miniatures and terrain and the like. All right, so for Discord, there's that. As you all do get your things in, I would love to see them over in Heroic Halls. Bain and Miller shared each of their collections. Sierra Echo, Black Kevin, Rose Wolf of the Book Devouring Horde, Lucius, and Big Slam, you did as well. Kragar was the first to post. Thank you for doing so. There were, I think, 30 different people out there in our community who ended up getting something, so I would love to see what all you have. And that it made it in good shape. You know, you're happy with it, and you want to share with others the cool stuff you got out of our orphanarium of miniatures. Oh, they may not teach, so they present then, huh? All right, I believe that does it for Discord. We're not going to need this. Let's close that out. Okay, everything else is open, and let's switch away from the inner workings of this, I don't know, space station or whatever it is you want to call it. In fact, one of you out there will have the chance to call it something. That's with that upcoming event. We're going to open up our displays, and tonight we are going to have ourselves a real good time. We're going to do that through 2 exercises. I guess technically 3, but 2 of them are halves of a whole. They're 2 different exercises, but they both are needed to do what we want to accomplish tonight. And tonight, we are going to create a setting. We're going to create a setting for our adventure. And then we are going to pull information also from our character sheets. And we are going to have everything we need to then tomorrow night plan a story, plan a campaign. Before we begin the exercise of setting creation, I want to do a very quick review of our party. If you saw the go live notifications, our party leans evil and natural. We have a neutral evil female half-elf nature cleric, a chaotic neutral female tiefling totem warrior barbarian, a lawful evil male human battle master fighter who is an acolyte, presumably of this nature god, and also one who I should also be mentioning the backgrounds because this is important. So our half elf is a noble. Our barbarian is an entertainer, specifically a gladiator and actor. We have an acolyte who also is very noble in how he was raised due to the personality traits, ideal, bond, and flaw. And then our wizard is a lawful evil female drow transmutation wizard, also a noble, though she has retainers, whereas our first noble has position of privilege. This is quite a group, especially because the three of the four may be related in some way already. And all of them have machinations and external pressures from their faith and their family to do arguably good things, which is why we're evil. We're the ones, even as these younger heirs or just these people that live in this, whatever this place is we're going to create, they're the ones who have to make the tough decisions. They're inheriting the problems of their parents. They all think very highly of themselves. And if this campaign ends in some kind of, I don't know, fratricidal Hunger Games or something, I wouldn't be surprised. But that is for the story to write. And we're going to get there. Remember, this is low pressure, no pressure stuff. We're not sitting here agonizing, going, oh, we can never work with this. Everything has been awesome and smooth. It's worked very, very well. Because in the workshop, the story writes itself. So that is our prompt. And we can replace... Let's find the right one here. Okay. As you see, we do have the handiest and dandiest of worksheets. It does write itself, Big Slam. And with your all's help, I want to create this setting. Much like the characters we built, we are going to trust the dice to let us know where this story is going to be taking place. Is this the lands over which they all come from or are fighting over? Or could this simply be a part of the greater story, but one which is very significant and worth fleshing out? Time will tell. Let's get to it. You can see on the worksheet, I have an allowance for 2 terrain types. In any given area, I would argue that there are 2 terrain types that could be predominant. What we mean by terrain type in the 2014 Player's Handbook, we have it's fighter. Here we go. This is what I mean. Druids and rangers have mechanical benefits to 8 different biomes. This is what we're going to roll. In your world, you might count urban as a 9th, or you might go into more detail similar to the Castle Keeper's Guide for Troll Lord Games' Castles and Crusades. And there, they break it down to, Pine Barrens and different in taiga and other in the nature of savannas and stuff. This is kept very simple. So we're going to use these as prompts, and we can extrapolate other things from it. Big Slam. I would like you to give us our first biome. Please type ! 1D8. For those of you playing along at home, this is the 2014, the original 5th edition Player's Handbook. So crack yours open. I presume you have one. If not, hey, support your friendly local game store. They may still be able to get one in for you. Hey, Coffee Cat, I'm going to need your help in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. All right, our first biome is 3. We have Arctic, Coast, and Desert. All right. Coffee Cat, I need you to give me a D8 roll, please. What is our second biome of this settlement area? Of this major story location? Lands on an 8. And Underdark. Desert and Underdark. Well, we have a drow. So this, yeah, I guess that works. All right. Now we're going to hop over to our Dungeon Master Guides. Open those up. It's one of the core rule books. Again, if you don't have one, support your friendly local game store and pick one up. We are going to scroll. Scrolling too far. Too far, too deep, too fast. There we go. Forms of government. Which kind of government rules over this place? Evil intent. I would like you to type ! 1D100. $36. That is feudalism. Yeah, well, we have nobles. That works out. The typical government of Europe in the Middle Ages, a feudalistic society, consists of layers of lords and vassals. The vassals provide soldiers or scutage, payment in lieu of military service, to the lords, who in turn promise protection to their vassals. Now, in this location, there are 3 distinct features. What are they? We're going to determine that. Why 3? It's an arbitrary number, though I would challenge you all, think about the city, or town or whatever, in which you live, or the county, or equivalent, or state, or equivalent, or country. Think on any of those tiers. Can you name 3 significant somethings that make your town, your county, your state, your country stand out? If we're talking about the US, would you say that it's the Grand Canyon, Statue of Liberty, and the world's largest ball of twine? If so, those are 3 unique features that makes the US stand out. What about your state? So in your own ways, with your own experiences, I do believe that you'll be able to find 3 things of note. Now, one of those is going to be a little bit more mystical because we do live in a fantasy world. So for this, Lucius, I I would like you to type exclamation point 1D20, please. There we go. Monuments. It stops on 16. And Monument 16, there is a great stone arch. Okay. What does it mean? Who built it? Etc., etc.? Great questions. Hold those in mind. All right, next up, who else do we have? Sierra, are you still with us? Kragar, I think Kragar is lurking. All right, Sierra, can you roll a d20 for me, please? I would like you to give me our second monument of this area. It stops on 19. Ooh, that is a ruined or toppled circle of standing stones. All right, Sierra, roll a d12. We don't roll enough of those. Odds, it's ruined. Evens, it's toppled. Odds. There we go. Also, hi, Goblin of Gygaxanor. I could use your help. And in particular, Goblin of Gygaxanor, are you fond of weird locales? Do you often find yourself in weird locales? If so, can you share with us some of your experiences? And I'd like you to do so by typing exclamation point 1D20. Weird is my bag? All right, tell us what is weird about this desert, underdark, feudalistic area with a great stone arch and a toppled circle of standing stones. You said it was a 10, a permanent portal to another plane of existence. Is this Stargate? What's going on here? Now, as we bop forward, there are ways to also go about developing the culture of this area. For what we're doing, we are going to roll. Though, if you say, well, we already have drow and humans, and half-elves, apparently, then why do we need to roll for whatever the dominant or minority race or races are? Let's see what it tells us. Let's see what it says. This is going to help build a story. Right, for those of you still hanging out, Big Slam. Give me a 1d9 roll, please. 1d9. In fact, if we have more of a deserty style atmosphere. I think I have a marketplace that we can listen to. Desert Temple. Floating Market. Here we go. Oasis City. All right, so that is going to be, as you broke reality, you got a 10 on a D9. If we open this up here, it would normally be in this order. So either you can roll again, or you can choose. If you pick 2, then this means dwarf. Otherwise, if you want to pick something else, you can. But now that we have this open and I explained what that means, are you sticking with 2? Do you want to re-roll? Or do you want to go with something else? You like 2. All right, so dwarves. Dwarves are here. All right. Let's have, let's see. Coffee Cat. 1d9, please. Nine. Tieflings. Of course you'd pick tieflings, Coffee Cat. Though this can actually have an interesting impact, especially because of what we were talking about with our tiefling character this whole time. This could be very, very interesting for purposes of our story. Ah, Lucius is here. Lucius, how are the dwarves and tieflings getting along? I need you to type exclamation point 1d20 to tell us. Lands on a 5. The race relations 5. They live in harmony. Harmony, harmony, harmony. Well, you can fling a T, just don't fling a dwarf. All right, the ruler's status. Goblin of Gygaxanor. I would like you to type exclamation point 1d20. What is the ruler's status? Lands on 21. That means you can pick yourself as you broke reality, or you can re-roll. If you re-roll, then roll 2d20 because you're on cooldown for 1. Otherwise, your choices are respected, fair, and just, feared tyrant, weakling manipulated by others, illegitimate ruler, simmering civil war, ruled or controlled by a powerful monster, mysterious anonymous cabal, contested leadership, open fighting, cabal seized power openly, a doltish lout, on deathbed, claimants compete for power, iron-willed but respected, or a religious leader. Or you can just re-roll. What sounds good to you? And Belmuerte, I'm going to call on you in a moment to let me know this town's notable trait. I rolled a 14 analog style on the desk. 14, a cabal seized power openly. It writes itself because while the dwarves and tieflings live in harmony, it seems like they're in a pincer maneuver between the humans and the drow. Cabal seized power openly. Belmuerte, please roll 1d20 in chat. Exclamation point 1d20. Lands on a 17. A notable trait about this place is it does have a sinister reputation. Diadems. Hello. Diadems, I would like you to roll 1d20 in chat, please. What is this place known for, besides having a sinister reputation? You say it's known for number 6, which is flowers. And then a current calamity. Something is going on. Something just ain't right. And to tell us what that is, Xbox Aaron, are you here? I don't think Kragar came back. Them Underdark desert flowers are nice this time of year. Let's call on someone. Big Slam. 1d20, please. Lands on a 2. The current calamity is that a new cult seeks converts. Okay. We have a couple more rolls. I'm not worried about the town name currently. We'll come up with that. Though, what would be this place's main religious building? Could reflect the main faith, or at least the location where the characters will be more likely to visit. It may not even be the biggest building or the most prominent religion. We can take this prompt in a couple different ways, but by rolling for at least one type of religious building, it gives us something significant to consider. Bel Muerte, what is the primary religious building of this story and or settlement? And that is a 1d20 roll. $18. A hidden shrine to a fiend or an evil deity. Well, you know what? Let's determine which one. Bel Muerte, can I get a d12 roll, please? Odds, it's to a fiend. Evens, it's to an evil deity. Odds, hidden shrine to a fiend. So, perhaps not an evil god, but a particular agent of some kind. Someone who would be more like a warlock patron than a god or goddess. There's a hidden shrine to a fiend that plays into all of this. All right, next up, what is going to be our main tavern? There might be several. This could be a huge city. There could be hundreds. For purposes of our story, we want to make at least one place that is going to be notable and stands out. For this, Diadems, I need a name. Diadems, would you please type exclamation point 2D20 in chat? And then Lucius, I need a 1D20 to tell us the type of tavern this is. Diadem says the most notable place in town is 20 and 3. The Gleaming Dwarf. Well, all right, there we go. The Gleaming Dwarf. The story writes itself, everyone. And Lucius says that the Gleaming Dwarf is number 19, a brothel. Okay. Now, given the characters that we've generated, this is going to be our main adventuring area. How does this add to our story? And I'll show you a quick way that we can map this. We have an area that is an intersection of some sort of desert biome and Underdark. Now, desert doesn't have to mean hot. Desert simply means dry. This could be a cold desert if we wish it to be. Or it could be, it could just be a hot one that many of us are used to. This area is ruled over by feudalism. Its notable points of interest are a great stone arch, a toppled circle of standing stones, and a permanent portal to another plane of existence. Of the people who live here, the dominant race, and that could be by sheer numbers, maybe even not through economic weighting or something else. It could just be there are more dwarves than tieflings, and that is what the dominant or the majority would be in that case. The minority, the tieflings, might very well, there might be 100 tieflings that live here because that's all the tieflings that are left, and yet they are the ones with all of the money or political influence or whatever else. These are all things to think about. These are prompts. We'll connect the dots, but let's have some dots first. The dwarves and the tieflings do get along in harmony, though a cabal seized power openly, and that may well be that might well be the that could be the drow, that could be the humans, you know, as outsiders. The notable trait here is that this city, this settlement, this area does have a sinister reputation, and that sinister reputation is apparently is in part of this new cult is seeking converts, and that there is a hidden shrine to a fiend somewhere that is going to play a part in the story, a big part in the story, as a notable religious building, and that the Gleaming Dwarf is a very popular brothel in the area, and this will also play a part in things. So this is kind of an Australian setting with dwarven opal miners, Goblin of Gygaxanor. Strange desert creatures that seem similar to horses, except they hop around on two large back feet or back legs. Although I know we're talking about a world of fantasy and make-believe, but I don't think anyone could believe that there are large-legged horses that also box people, or that there's just giant spiders that would make anyone in a D&D world go, "Ew." I have to draw the line. I can only suspend disbelief so much, Goblin of Gygaxanor. Are you telling me a shrimp fried this rice? All right, these are great prompts for the characters. And what we can do to help get the road work ahead, I sure hope it does. Let's give this a try. There we go. I have paint. And you know what now? We have a desert. Isn't that cool? Look how quickly this all comes together. Now, any settlement, unless your fantasy world is different, but even in Dune it wasn't, any settlement is going to need water. Do we have an oasis of some sort? If so, why and how? Or, you know, is this kind of a Nile situation where we have a long river and it's very fertile along the banks, but outside of that, it's very arid? Draw inspiration from real life if you want, or just simply say, no, you know what? I like the idea of an oasis. I'll look into how oases work later, but right now I want more of a lake than a river, or a lake that turns into a river or something else. Or you want this region actually has two oases, and the settlement is between them, and it was built up as part of a trade route or something along those lines. However you want it, we got it. Let's put some water down. We know we're in a desert. Cool, that was easy. So now what? That's the portal. It's an oasis that is connected to the plane of water. That could be, or at least just some other place that has water. That could be part of the bargain. Or in this case, if there's a fiend involved, some sort of a devil's deal that's at play. Or we can also build this up too, where we have these people who follow a nature god coming in and apparently are looking to take over or convert. And so what if this area is the next stop between warring factions that under their deity seek to terraform the world in the name of their god or goddess? And so in order to win over the people, they come through and they, you know, we often hear about strip mining a place. You know, people will find something, we have a gold rush, or there's a bunch of coal or oil. People move in and extract. What if in this situation, we have two warring groups who are actually looking like Splatoon style to terraform this place in order to claim it as theirs? And this might mean that what was otherwise some pit stop oasis backwater might be booming now because these groups are courting the locals, and they're doing their best to, and they're fighting by overriding each other's influences in invoking the gifts of this nature god in order to come and take over the place and to win the affection of the people, and thereby win converts to strengthen that god through additional worshipers, sacrifices, prayers, offerings, other people to join the cult. And we know that that's a problem, right? Let's work with what we've rolled for all of this. And I think that can work out really well. When people water the flowers in the garden above, it trickles down to the settlement. Yeah, so instead of strip mining, it's strip seeding. All right, Sierra. If you haven't yet, let me know your opinion on that Goblin 3D model, okay? So if this is the case, maybe that this was more of a sleepy little town. It was out of the way. Maybe traders would come through. It was a place, maybe it was kind of like a Las Vegas. If this is a place of sin and vice, it has a sinister reputation, has a very popular brothel. Let's do this. Let's say that in the middle of everything, and we can change this later, in the middle of the map, and we don't even have a scale yet, but we're just going to plop down. We're just going to plop down an oasis. Here we go. Well, that was cool. So, what's next? let's have some kind of... If this was something that was more or less along the way, let's put a route through the dry lands, through the desert. No scale, we're just getting ideas out. Okay? And we also can presume, if we have an oasis here, there's at least some kind of, you know, plant or development sort of following along, going here, and maybe even a little bit on the road over here. There we go, nice bright spot. If we want to put, you know, dunes or some little mountains, not that a mountain was a major biome in the area, but maybe some shards of rock that come up that are just always there. Otherwise, if you want this to be an endless, you know, shifting desert, that's cool too. You know, have fun with it. We're gonna fill this in. All right, basic idea. Now, our city was built up along the trade route. It probably even starts a little bit before and after, and closer to the water would be more convenient, more wealth, more leadership, or what have you. Hey, Craigar, welcome. And in fact, because we have dwarves here, there might be a lot of structures that are built out of the sandstone. In fact, this might even be over time. What if we have, I know this is really weird, I'm going to shock you all, a walled city in a desert location. Now, I can't think of any historical or religious references where there was ever a walled city located in a desert, but whatever, this is D&D, this is fantasy, so let's have some fun. Now, one of the monuments was, you know, a city wall with forts every mile. This won't be anything perhaps as grand, or the wall is the wall is built for reasons that aren't necessarily momentous. Maybe it's a lot more practical, or it's just a part of things. But we can have some buildings, or the wall might not be necessarily complete. But still, let's do this. Oh, this could even be part of the arch. Let's say that the winds... Alright, it's not a city wall. Let's do this. Let's say that the winds blow from... You know, if we have north, south, west, east... If we go with what most of us know, not that this couldn't be Southern Hemisphere and swap it, but weather kind of has a whoop, at least around my parts, it's blowing in from the northwest over to the east. A desert wind, a Ghibli, if you will, as that's what that means. So instead of a city wall, what if the dwarves built a barrier wall to keep the sand from filling in, or to, you know, they always have to dig it out or something? So what if there's something like this? We come up, we come over like this, and then we shield this as well. And there's a little bit, so people on the road, and so people on the road might not just be able to go a little off-road and sneak in. What if the arch actually is here? Or if you want, we could say that the weather blows up this way, however you want it to be. So it's not a city wall. It's not necessarily for keeping people out. It's really just to have the wind blow against it. And then over on the sides, we could create, this might actually create very large dunes. Ooh. Here and here.